Somebody said there's a Washington Post video on this. I'm curious. Link me up.
For years, some of the world's richest people have hidden their wealth in prominent offshore tax havens in places like the Bahamas or Belize. Now, a new investigation reveals the involvement.
Jesus, like, yeah, like, what? Because you're making it sound like there's like some crazy illegal shit going on here. Give me something illegal. You're presenting this as like, we've got like the black and white photos, the creepy music. Maybe they'll have something different to say.
Involvement that the United States and prominent world leaders have in the secretive world.
There are 1,001 different ways to describe a tax haven. It's generally considered as a country or a jurisdiction
where you can put your money and avoid paying taxes where you made your money.
A team of reporters from the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, the Washington Post, and hundreds of reporters around the world unearthed secrets from millions of documents. The Pandora Papers show how the ultra-rich and powerful move their money around the globe. It is the largest collaboration of journalists ever organized by the ICIJ.
We have emails, passport copies, bank statements that show how presidents, kings, princesses, billionaires, and criminals hide and move money.
There are more than 11.9 million documents that reveal the holdings of powerful foreign figures, including the King of Jordan and a woman who was allegedly in a years-long relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
The United States, through some very liberal laws in places like Alaska, South Dakota, Nevada, and Delaware, have really become go-to tax havens for global clients.
American politicians and lawmakers have long criticized tax havens in smaller countries.
You've got a building in the Cayman Islands where 12,000 companies supposedly are located. Now, that's either the biggest building in the world or the biggest tax ripoff in the world.
That was 2007. 14 years later, if you want to protect your money, Sioux Falls, South Dakota has become a place to go.
All of these trust companies, they are managing billions of dollars in assets for customers all over the world. You just wouldn't expect it.
This building, which is in the city's downtown, now houses close to $100 billion in assets from foreign millionaires and billionaires, including some who have been accused in their home countries of fraud, bribery, human rights abuses, and other wrongdoings, either personally or through their companies. Like Horst Happel, an orange juice industrialist from Brazil. In 2016, Happel and others paid an $88 million settlement to the Brazilian government for allegedly colluding to underpay local farmers. He set up a trust in the Midwestern state in 2017. So did the family of Carlos Morales Troncoso, the former vice president of the Dominican Republic who ran Central Romana, a sugar company accused of human rights abuses. Morales set up his trust in the Bahamas, and after his death, it was transferred to South Dakota for the benefit of his daughters. His daughters, through an attorney, said they have never been involved in Central Romana's operations.
And after this, we'll head to South Dakota Trust Company and tick them off one by one.
Okay.
South Dakota is one of a handful of states with some of the most liberal regulations for offshore accounts in the world.
In the
This
world.
is a state that hasn't been traditionally wealthy.
Been.
And so when lawyers proposed to lawmakers in South Dakota to change legislation to turn South Dakota into a tax haven, many of these lawmakers were convinced that jobs and money would follow. Our investigation has shown that that's far from being the case.
U.S. law requires trust companies to confirm the identities of clients, but it provides little guidance on who to accept and who to turn away. The Pandora Papers also expose how U.S. citizens move their money outside the country while facing criminal investigations or costly lawsuits. This is where Glenn Godfrey comes in. His companies in Belize have set up trusts, bank accounts, and corporations for an alleged murderer, a high-profile child sex offender, a mob associate connected to the Colombo crime family in New York, and a self-described constitutionalist who solicited the murder of a judge, a prosecutor, and an IRS agent.
Wow.
Godfrey has not responded to multiple requests for comment.
It's very difficult for prosecutors to track money offshore for all kinds of reasons. A lack of cooperation from the governments of tax havens like Belize, to just not having the time or the resources.
Tax havens are legal. For example, businesses use them to reduce their tax burden, and countries use them to spur investment. But sometimes trusts are used for improper reasons and for criminal activity.
Tax havens in and of themselves are legal. But tax havens have been used over the years for illegal purposes, for hiding money from authorities, avoiding taxes that...
This is such a worthless I'm sorry, fuck. This is a worthless statement. These things are legal, but they've been used for illegal things. That's like saying, we did a special report and we're going to bring you like to the inside. So we've discovered in Chicago that a high number of people have become the owners of sometimes 2 or more cars in their residences. And then you cut to a guy and it's like, now in the past, traditionally, MS-13 and ISIS have actually utilized vehicles for illegal purposes in the past. Now, technically, there's nothing wrong with owning an actual vehicle, but it can be used to facilitate criminal activity, right? Why the fuck do I care? You can use anything to facilitate an illegal activity. Tell me something illegal or shut the fuck up. I don't care. Like, who the fuck?
You owe. Parking illicit gains from white-collar crime, or for politicians to disguise payments that are part of corruption.
So while it might not be illegal in every case, it's highly problematic in terms of ethics, and it's highly problematic in terms of the growing rift of inequality that we see around the world.
The Pandora Papers also show world leaders and their loyal circles participating and benefiting from this secretive system. Jordan's King Abdullah II is one of them. Over the past decade, as billions of dollars in American aid poured into his country, a secret stream of money flowed in the opposite direction. Companies associated with Abdullah spent millions to buy extravagant homes in the United States.
We were able to show that King Abdullah has secretly bought compounds in Malibu or overlooking the Potomac River in Georgetown and in London, and that he has spent more than $100 million in secret over the past 10 or 11 years on lavish properties that are unknown to the people of his country.
Abdullah's lawyers said their client did not misuse any public funds or foreign assistance. Another person benefiting from the secretive system is a Russian shop cleaner. Previously undisclosed financial records, combined with local tax documents, show that Svetlana Krivonogeek became the hidden owner of a luxury condominium in Monaco nearly 20 years ago, just months after giving birth to a girl. The child was born at a time when she was in a secret, years-long personal relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin, according to a 2020 Russian media report.
Когда мы нашли соцсети Елизаветы, то последние сомнения в том, кем друг другу приходились Владимир Путин и Светлана Кривоногих, отпали. Такого сходства мы не ожидали.
He said, now they know. He was fucking that bitch.
Giving birth to this girl, came into possession of a shell company which owned a pretty impressive apartment overlooking the Mediterranean in Monte Carlo.
A Kremlin spokesman did not respond to a request for comment submitted by the ICIJ on behalf of the Post and other partner media organizations in the Pandora project. Krivonogeek has not spoken about her alleged relationship with Putin or her accumulation of wealth. She did not respond to requests for comment. It's estimated that corporations and the super wealthy have stashed away as much as $32 trillion untaxed or at a very low rate. This does not include real estate, art, and jewels. That's more than the United States' total gross domestic product in 2020, and more than 10 times the current U.S. budget deficit.
Wow. Oh my God. Chat.
Don't antitrust laws become necessary when we recognize bad legal activity?
Yeah, but the problem is none of these people ever give solutions. This is the problem. Anytime I argue with anybody about taxes ever, I was like, okay, cool. You don't like these things. What should change? What should we change? What do we do different? Nobody has anything. Well, nobody actually has a suggestion on how we ought to change the tax code or what part of it should change. People just like to get mad at shit without like thinking about how to improve any of it. It's just frustrating to me.
And the Chilean Public Prosecutor's Office announced on Friday that it's opened an investigation into President Sebastián Piñera over the sale of the Dominga mining company through a firm owned by his children, which appeared in the Pandora Papers leaks. The head of the anti-corruption unit of the Public Prosecutor's Office explained the decision was made to investigate because of the possibility that the deal involved bribery and eventual tax crimes. According to an investigation by 2 local media outlets, the Dominga company was sold to a friend of Piñera's for $152 million in a deal carried out in the British Virgin Islands, a well-known tax haven. The investigation found that the payment was due to be staggered over 3 installments, with a clause that stated the final installment was dependent on not establishing an area of environmental protection in the area of the mining company's operations, as environmentalists demanded.
Jesus.
The national prosecutor on 8 October has decided to open...
Okay, cool story. Would you consider that video misinformation because of the feelings you tried to elicit with the creepy music and big statements? Yeah, pretty close to it. Like, if not misinformation, then like about as close as you get. I don't know. It's just frustrating when people like complain or cry about shit, but they don't have like any like, okay, well, what do you want to do differently? They're just like, people just want to be mad about shit. It feels stupid. Weren't you just saying just yesterday people should want to watch current events? Why fault them for making it entertaining? I don't care if you make things entertaining. Just don't be wrong. Like, if you're gonna talk about how you going like super soy because I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what to say to you. There's nothing wrong with like reporting shit, but like just report, like if something bad is happening, report something bad is happening, not just like, oh, soy, like rich people. Oh no, rich people. Like, I don't know, that just strikes me as a little bit soy, okay? I think there's a charitable interpretation of the reporting the way it is. The population doesn't have any visibility into the status quo that they are bought into, and if they knew, they might want to pressure leadership to change something. Yeah, but that's the question. What do you want to change? The problem is people don't know sometimes like why things are set up the way that they are, so they just like have soy rage at everything. And it's like, well, maybe there's a reason why the tax code is structured the way that it is. If you want to change it, then suggest a change. Don't just soy rage about everything. So when does reporting have to contain a solution? The problem is it's not just the reporting. I guess if it was just reporting and other people had solutions. Like, here's an example, okay? Okay, let me give you an example, okay? Everybody's like, Amazon didn't pay any taxes. Amazon didn't pay any taxes. Amazon didn't pay. And a million people have reported this. How many different sites have written about this? Like, oh, they didn't pay any taxes. Okay, what do you want to do? Do you think that businesses should have to pay taxes on losses? Okay? If you open a fucking business, you reinvest all your money, and you're not showing like a positive like profit, your gross revenue doesn't exceed your expenses, should you have to pay tax? What the fuck do you even pay taxes on? If you ask somebody, they're like, well, yeah, I guess not. Okay, then shut the fuck up. Then what the fuck is your problem? Amazon didn't have any profits to show, so they didn't pay taxes. Do you want to change that? No? Then shut the fuck up. It's a tax code working as intended. Do you want businesses reinvesting their money? It drives the economy forward. It creates more shit. Like, that's a good thing. They didn't pay any. If they didn't pay any taxes, they had no profits. Who the fuck cares? That's the problem with the way that all of these stories work. Is that people present things that aren't technically really problems, and then they get like ultra ass mad over nothing when like there's not even anything really to do. Do you think there should be changes to what is described in the video, tax havens and stuff? I think that having like global tax rates, I haven't heard an argument against that. It seems like a good thing. LeMayo, let's just change international law, way more actionable solution, Destiny. What do you mean? That's literally what's being talked about right now. What are you talking about? I think getting an international tax, getting like international like tax incentives lined up or whatever is literally like one of the big things that's like on the table right now. I think they even got Ireland to agree to it. Why would a tax haven country ever agree to that? I have no idea, to be honest. I don't know. I have to look more into that. I don't know why Ireland would ever agree to it. Seems to me like they should always just say, no, fuck you. We make so much money on this. Suck a dick. What international authority would collect a global tax? No. Global taxes aren't about having like a global like entity that collects taxes. It's about having like the same tax rates from country to country so that people aren't moving assets around to get preferential tax treatment simply for being in another country.